All right, what's good, y'all? We back again on the channel. We got another video. This is my second video today that I'm recording. Let's see. I can't believe this is happening. I'm guessing it's a video about Fairy Tail. Yeah. Obviously, you know I do a Fairy Tail 100 Quest review every other week because that's when the chapter comes out. And honestly, I'm enjoying what's happening. Unique plot lines are going on right now. But hey, let's see what this guy's on about. Let's see if he has some real criticism. Other than that, let's just see if he's just hating. Let's get into it.
After a multitude of arcs that varied widely in terms of their quality, it seemed like the sequel to Fairy Tail, 100 Years Quest, was gearing up to deliver its best one yet with the release of Chapter 156. But even more so once our eyes became preview to Chapter 162. The setup for this next arc, entitled The True Dragon King Festival, was something that before it had happened, fans could have only dreamt of, with the inclusion of Ignil's son enacting his long-awaited plan to transform the world's population into dragons, the Dark Wizard Ferris of Earthland, who absorbed the powers of Acnologia to fulfill his will of total destruction, the defeated and reformed dragon gods being brought back into the fold as antagonists who are more powerful than ever before, and Team Natsu standing in the face of certain doom but more ready than ever to fight as hard as humanly possible.
Okay.
The odds and stakes and hype for this series were greater than they'd ever been before, and you could feel the energy emanating off the fandom. Everyone was chomping at the bit to see how Hiro Mashima and Ueda would deliver on this insane setup. Fast forward quite a few chapters later, and while at the time that I'm making this video the arc isn't finished, it is quite fair to say that so far the story has not unfolded in the way that a considerable amount of fans would have wanted. Now,
I think it's insane so far.
The topic at hand, and for general coherency, I've broken down this arc and identified the 4 biggest pain points.
Okay.
I'll go through those points and provide the reasoning as
to
why I believe they
This
are
is structured unlike my videos.
quality, and you can all sound off in the comments as to whether or not you agree or disagree. Okay? Then let's begin.
Okay, let's
the
get it.
first and probably most glaring issue of this arc so far is the obscene amount of characters within it. Counting from chapter 156 on, there are a total of 47 central characters actively participating in some semblance of a critical role. That's not counting the members of Diablos, by the way, because unfortunately they have contributed absolutely nothing to this True Dragon King festival. But it is including the major antagonists, Team Natsu, Fire and Flame, the 2 sets of Oration Seis members, the backup Fairy Tail members that came to help against the new Oration Seis, and the Calamity Bloods. We are reaching almost 50 characters that...
but like... when we I'm sorry, I'm always gonna do this when we compare anime to anime, and why niggas have a problem with certain things but not a certain one in others is One Piece. How many fucking characters were in the Wano arc? How many? There was Luffy's crew, Kaido's crew, Law, Kid, their crew members, the fucking samurai niggas, the niggas from the jail and shit. How many niggas, bruh? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how one series can have a whole shit ton of characters and another one can't. And it's just like, oh my god. And even outside of the arc itself, there were other characters still doing shit. Blackbeard, his crew, Shanks, his crew, the Gorosei, the fucking ZP0 was there. Like, what do you like? I'm sorry, people love One Piece, but when Fairy Tail does something similar, it's, oh my god, it's a problem. But hey, let's just see what he has to say. Let's see what he has to really have to say about how many characters there are.
Each need to have a battle and some semblance of development to give meaning to their involvement in the story. And that, my dear viewers, is the real issue. The glaring lack of meaning. In totality of the situation, I'd say we've definitely been given a mixed bag. Some characters have absolutely been written in a way to where their involvement has been a net positive for the story of Fairy Tail. I loved getting to see some development for Midnight and Sawyer. The backstory for Zero came as a complete surprise, but very welcome and very compelling. And seeing Cobra get such a vicious victory against that demon of Ferris was awesome. However, on the flip side of that, we have Fire and Flame, who may have just inched their way to becoming the new worst group in the history of the franchise. I mean, I got the Jigglebutt gang over these losers. Half of the group is comprised of characters we've already seen be defeated a literal arc ago, and the others are either bums or nepo crybabies. There really is not a single compelling member on this entire team, and it's a shame because a lot of them do have great designs, and before they were revealed to be who we know them to be today, the amount of promise that was shown in earlier chapters, from Wed specifically,
I wasn't too big on Wed, to be honest. I really wasn't. I wasn't that too big on him.
I had high hopes.
I didn't.
So it makes their downfall and lack of depth all the more disappointing. With that said, though, it's time to move on to the second glaring issue.
Like I said before, it's like other anime can do the same thing where there's a lot of characters involved and a lot of shit going on, and each character has to have a real reason, and it goes into, like it jumps from this fight to that fight to this fight to this fight, and a backstory there, backstory. One Piece does it; it's perfectly fine. Fairy Tail does it; it's oh my god, so many characters. Some are falling off, some are not doing anything. Oh my god, like it's crazy to me. It's crazy.
Of the arc or pain point.
Okay, let's get to the second point.
Are interchangeable here. That being a general lack of stakes and consequence.
He just said at the start there was high stakes. What stakes? The whole world's gonna be turned to dragons, and if that doesn't happen, then the whole world's gonna get destroyed because of Ferris. What? There's no stakes now. I'm sorry, guys. If he's gonna sit here and try to tell me that you have to kill characters for there to actually be stakes, get out of here, because that's not true at all. It's not true at all, bro.
Now, I would not necessarily consider Fairy Tail a dark series. The majority of the time, the series actually tends to focus on levity, fun, friendship, some other stuff, and fights. However, from time to time, Hiro Mashima has dove into those darker moments with this story, and in doing so, he created some of the most well-renowned and respected arcs in his entire writing career. The clearest example of this being the incredible Tartarus arc. That particular storyline benefited heavily from Mashima embracing those darker tones. It made the situation at hand feel 10 times more perilous, and the losses our protagonist endured hit that much harder.
Oh my god, Gray's dad died again. To be honest, like, you could take that away from Gray, and it's the same for me. You know what I mean? He never really had his dad in his life. He never really spoke to his, like, we have no backstory between him and his dad, and then he just shows up as a villain and fights him, and then, like, oh my god, like I said, we can go without that. You know what I mean? And how was that a stake for us as the hero group? He was literally a villain trying to kill us. It's not like he was on our side, really. I mean, I understand he was helping Gray, but like he could have just gave it to him, bro.
With the True Dragon King Festival, part of the intention from the beginning is clearly to invoke a sense of nostalgia, which is evident by the characters in play. Even so, the striking difference between Tartarus and what Mashima is currently writing are those desperately needed stakes and consequences. In Tartarus, major characters who we've become attached to throughout the series' run don't make it.
Igneel wasn't ever there. What the fuck? The only thing that was sad about that was that Natsu saw that firsthand. That was the only thing that made that sad. And then that's not really stakes. Like I said, he just brought it up. A character doesn't make it through the arc. That's stakes. Huh? Not stakes. Stakes to me are consequences for losing these fights, for losing these battles, for getting cooked in these fights. What's going to happen if we don't win? We get killed. What higher stakes is that?
The fights we saw our favorite characters go through are to this day some of the hardest battles that they have ever fought. And probably, most importantly, the emotional turmoil was integral to their specific journeys that in turn caused insane growth for those it affected. None of what I just listed here is present at all in 100 Years Quest's current arc, so you can see why the invoking...
I actually do like Ferris a lot, though. You like the one character that literally appeared out of fucking nowhere? What? Look, if he would have said Ferris is an issue and he had a whole thing, I'd be okay with that. Cause for me, she dead ass came out of nowhere with this whole Arma Agnokia bullshit. Like, you tell me nobody found that arm before her? How long was it there? Was it still just chilling there when Natsu went on his fucking training arc? Was it just chilling there on that battlefield, bro? Like, what the fuck?
Of nostalgia not only feels skin deep, but it's also a detriment because this plotline is just reminding me of a far better one. Speaking of far better, let's talk about how the dragon gods got brought back into the fold thanks to the giant Lacrima that would supposedly and finally show off these mythical behemoths at their full power. Only for the majority of their performances this second time around to be way worse than their initial showings.
Really?
Mercphobia, the first dragon god we ever encountered, was an absolute menace. And during his rampage, it was revealed that at that time he was operating at less than 50% of his full capabilities. Now, back then, it took the entirety of Team Natsu plus a Dragon Force buff from Ignia to stop a weakened Mercphobia. But when it's time to take on a much stronger version of the character, all it takes is a Lucy and Lady Brandish to break the Lacrima and defeat him.
That's what they said. That's literally what they said when this arc started. That they would have to break the crystals because there's no way they can actually fight them. What are we on about? Come on, guys. Use your heads.
And it wasn't even that difficult. Lucy used him like a stick against a pinata when she smacked him against that Lacrima. Similarly, Celine defeated the entirety of the Diablos Guild off-screen, only for Wendy and Carla to beat her in the span of a chapter. Natsu needed the combined
I don't
energy of
really
his
don't remember
own
that part.
team as well as the main players in Sabretooth to bring down the Golden Dragon God Vierdes. This time around,
With the elemental advantage.
it was pretty much all just Gray. And as cool as that fight was, and I'm grateful that Gray was given the shine that he desperately needed, it's unfortunate it had to be done at the expense of showing just how powerful dragon gods are actually supposed to be. Alderaan is the only one who hasn't been given this treatment yet, but that's mainly because he's just being used as a plot device. But the fourth and final issue of this arc actually deals with the root problem behind the other three, which is the pacing. The pacing of 100
Fast
has probably
pacing?
been my central grievance
Nigga,
with the
no.
series since its inception. There are absolutely moments throughout this manga where Mashima and Ueda will take the necessary time to fully flesh out the writing and or fights. But I'd say a good 50 to 60% of this story does not take that time to properly flesh out or indulge in aspects and opportunities that really should be. As stated before, Fire and Flame was a group that on paper should have been incredible thanks to the setup provided in earlier chapters. However, thanks to the massive amount of players participating in this arc in addition to the numerous amount of fights and character moments that need to happen with said characters, the pacing will do what it has always done to accommodate. It just makes the ever and always present fast pacing that much more noticeable. At the end of the day, though,
I don't feel like we're jumping through arcs. And to be fair, Fairytale's always had shorter arcs. They're not like fucking One Piece, you know. And I don't think there's ever a problem if the whole arc gets resolved and there's no issues within the arc. You know what I mean? I think guys are too accustomed to watching One Piece to really, you know, understand what decent pacing is. But if it's fast pacing, it's fast pacing. I just don't really necessarily see that. I feel like not a lot of shit is going on as enough to where I can predict what's going to happen next chapter before the chapter even comes out. And lo and behold, that's exactly what goes on. And then it ends right there. And I'm just like, bruh. So I don't feel like the arc is going by hella quickly.
All of these listed grievances, I still like the manga in this arc. I do think with some extra effort and attention to detail mixed with a slower pace to accommodate all the extra pieces to the arc, it could have genuinely been Mashima's magnum opus. But for what it is in the series that it's in, I think it's fine with some pretty enjoyable moments. I'm not expecting any of these issues to get fixed at this point in the story because we're just too deep into the arc and also because the manga as a whole is almost over. But it's good to critique even still. Anyways, with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this one. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with the notifications on.
Hey guys, honestly, I don't think bros' opinions were, you know, really that deep enough to say like this is I can't believe this is happening type shit. Uh, I feel like his points are things you can look at, but not enough to sit here and say, "Oh, this is ruining the whole shit." You know, and obviously, I don't think that's what he was going for. I think he was just trying to give out some critiques that he's been seeing and have been having. But it's just funny how, for me, I see other anime do the same things, and they're beloved. Everyone loves them. Everyone likes them. Everyone is okay with it. But another anime does it, and it's mostly always fairy tale, and it's a problem. You know, too pacing's too quick. Okay, we don't need to show everyone's fucking face and reaction every time someone says something or someone does something. Too many characters. How many fucking characters were in Wano? How many? How many characters are in every fucking arc of One Piece? Please, like, stop it. And then I don't even remember the other ones, bro. Bro, I don't know. Look, I think the only issues I really have with 100 Year Quest right now is just the whole Ferris thing. Especially if you saw the recent chapter. Go look at my channel. Got all the chapters. All the recent chapters, not all the chapters, but you know. Yeah. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think about Fairy Tail 100 Quests in the comments. Ooh, excuse me. In the comments below. Other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a nice day. Peace.